Why wouldn't that compel the Democrat Party to be a little bit more supportive of building physical barriers on that southern border where we think we can build them?
I mean, it's a good question, but it shows you there is a different mindset on the left. I mean, they truly believe in open borders. This whole idea that just people want to come in, let them come on in. Again, you can look at real numbers to know there is a legal way to come here. By the way, Mark, we are the most generous nation in the world. Anybody that thinks we don't let people into our country, we let 1 million people into our country legally every single year. By far the most generous in the world. We have nothing to be ashamed of. No country's close to us. And by the way, those other countries have their own border protection. So good luck trying to walk into their country illegally. So what we say is there's a way to come here legally. We ought to reform, by the way. There's parts of that legal system that are very broken. But at the same time, we do know that there are bad people that try to come here, and it's well documented. And so if you want to come here legally, there's a legal way to come here. And there are people, by the way, that have been waiting years, 10, 15 years in some cases, to come to America. So what does it say? If you're okay with letting somebody jump ahead of them in line, what are you telling those people that have done it the right way, that have played by the rules?
But when you all talk about the law and the rules, it's like they're not particularly interested in the law and the rules, and they must think that it helps the Democrat Party. And in fact, it appears to help the Democrat Party. You have red states going purple, purple states going blue, because the Democrats would not be supporting open borders if they thought Republicans were pouring over the border. So that's a difficult mentality to deal with. But isn't there a problem even within your Republican caucus? I mean, don't you have a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen Republicans who really are not necessarily that supportive of securing the border, or at least securing it in a way that matters?
Well, we don't have a consensus completely about how to properly secure the border. Most of our members have voted in one way or another to secure the border, which includes building the wall. The difference is that you just have no support, not one Democrat. We brought 2 different bills on the House floor in the last few months to secure the border. We had over 220 Republicans voted yes. Not one Democrat voted yes. And so clearly the mentality on the other side is not to support securing the border. A lot of people talk tough, but when it comes time to actually vote to secure the border, they're not there. And even Americans who aren't maybe where you and I are on immigration law would still say at a minimum secure the border. And what you do with different aspects of immigration policy is one thing, but securing America's border is critical to our national security. Not one Democrat was willing to vote yes.
But here's the problem. You got Republicans out there. You've got the conservative base out there. You've got other people out there. So, okay, we gave the Republicans the House. We know what the Democrats are. We know they don't support securing the border, even though they did 10 years ago. Now they've decided it's not in their best interests. The Republicans can't cobble together the numbers that they need to send the bill to the Senate. True?
Well, not one particular bill. We haven't coalesced around that. And frankly, we've been working with the president on the best way to do it that he would support. Because, the president's looked at a number of different ways on this. The president wants to see the border properly secured and to get the $25 billion. It's not just $5 billion this year we're fighting for. And President Trump's made it clear, at least give me the $5 billion this year to start building the wall out further. It's a long-term project and it costs more money over the next 4 or 5 years. But at least let's start with this. And by the way, when Pelosi had the supermajority in the House and Senate, when they passed Obamacare, they could have done anything they wanted, and they did. They didn't try to go and fix immigration policy. So when they right now try to use the left and use immigration and say, oh, look, the Republicans don't care about you, they didn't care when they had everything. We've actually tried to solve this problem, and not one Democrat stepped up to vote with us. When Pelosi controlled everything last time, she didn't bring a bill to the floor. Not good or bad. We've at least brought bills to the floor.
I just think in diners, in pubs, at kitchen tables all over the country, they're not thinking about what Pelosi did or didn't do. They're saying, okay, we sent the Republicans in, they got a majority, and we got a Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican president. We spend billions and billions of dollars, massive debt, and we can't cobble together $5 billion to try and secure that southern border. I think, yeah.
Mark, let me say this, because first of all, we did put at least $1.5 billion in place. Surely not the $5 billion. There is some wall that's being built. But on top of that, we worked very closely with this president to finally start rebuilding our military after what President Obama did to literally degrade it to the point where last year we lost more men and women in training deaths than in combat by more than a 3-to-1 margin. We also, by the way, got regulations under control. The Obama-era regulations were crushing not just the middle class, they were killing manufacturing in America. We've completely reversed that, working with this president and getting bills to his desk that he signed. The tax cut bill, not one Democrat voted with us, but yet we got a bill, not since Ronald Reagan in 1986 have we had a tax reform bill get all the way to the president's desk. And this one was incredibly historic. Cut taxes at every single level, made our country competitive again, and we're reaping the rewards. And by the way, the federal government this year took in more money to the Treasury with those tax cuts. For those people that would say tax cuts equal deficits, we took in more money this year than we ever have before. Obviously, we've got to get control over the mandatory side of spending, but we've gotten our economy back on track. We're finally seeing economic growth, and we've rebuilt our military while getting regulations under control. Those are important things. There are definitely things that we haven't done, and it's fair criticism to say, okay, you didn't do this on immigration, on Obamacare, you didn't repeal and replace it. We in the House passed the bill with one vote to spare to do it. It failed by one vote in the Senate. Fair criticism to say those things didn't get done. So there's more work left to do. But clearly, when you look at what we've done in the House, working with this president, incredible.